week, everybody. I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to the Dice Tower. And it is November. Hooray! Well, this is a week, hey? We're done with October. So now I'm sitting here planning for Thanksgiving. So what's the big news going on in the world? Well, a couple things. First of all, obviously tomorrow's election day, and that is the first and last time I'll mention that. But my daughter has moved her wedding up. I've been to January. So Melody's getting married the second week of January, January 9th to be specific. So that's interesting, and that is going to change a lot of things. Obviously, a very small wedding, probably. But I guess she's excited about that. So there's that going on. Thanksgiving ain't too far away. Christmas isn't too far after that. They just changed the time. So when I took my morning walk this morning, it was light out, which was not something I was used to. The weather has gotten slightly cooler here in Florida. And yeah, played a lot of really cool games. So, alrighty, this is a Q&A. I do this each week, and if you have a question, I will attempt to answer it, and we'll see what happens. I don't answer every question. I won't answer questions repeated over and over and over again, and I'll answer whatever I feel like answering. So them's the rules. Let's see what happens here. Beatles or Stones? I don't like insects, so I'll pick rocks. But I'm assuming you're talking about bands, and in that case, the Beatles. Have I voted yet? I have. In fact, it was kind of cool because Mike was showing me, I didn't know you could do this, but you, in Florida, where I'm at anyway, you can go online and check to see if they've received your vote, which was a neat thing to do. So I was like, oh, yay. Tom, can you go more in depth on your opinion of Tactiki you reviewed in Crowd Surfing? No, not really, because it's just me looking at the webpage, and everything I thought about the game, I expanded there. I haven't played the game or seen it yet, so that's pretty much it. If it sounds good for you, back it. We're not trying to tell people not to back stuff. Go for it. Do I have any food traditions I grew up with? Hang on, let me move this around here a little bit. Okay. I don't think, we ate some things that I thought were somewhat normal that a lot of people don't eat. Like we always had lettuce with salad dressing on, or like apple bacon dressing type stuff on it. I just thought everyone ate that. I've never seen anyone eat pickled eggs. We had all the time. Very few people have pickled eggs these days, and at least for meals, as part of a meal. And yeah, so just some things like that, but nothing majorly tradition-wise. Is the website with the contest winner part of the Dice Tower website overhaul from the Kickstarter? No, it's just going to be added to our website right now. The overhaul is like everything. This is going to take much longer than people think, unfortunately. They are currently working on it as we speak. I believe this week I'm going to start seeing some ideas for it and how it works. But no, we're just going to add the contest thing of our website is done. I just have someone who's going to start populating it. We'll make it public as soon as it's been populated with actual winners. When do you have time to read in your busy schedule? I just read whenever I can. I sit down and read. I'll read while I eat meals. I read. So yesterday, I even sat on the couch yesterday for like half an hour and read. I'm very excited. There's a couple books coming up that I'm excited about. The new book in the Way of Kings from Brandon Sanderson. I'm very excited about that. That's coming out in like 2 weeks or something. And then Ready Player 2 comes out this week. This month. I'm kind of curious about that. I just reread Ready Player 1. And yeah, it still dropped a bit for me. I just read Armada to see if it was as bad as I remembered. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of Armada. Let's see here. What do you think about the H index of tracking gameplays? I have no idea what that means. Maybe I've seen it somewhere. I don't know what it means. Hi, Tom. I've been rewatching the top 100 of all time from the last several years, and C always does these games are bad until you get to my top 10. I don't know what that means. They're not bad until you get to my top 10. All the games in my top 100 are amazing games, in my opinion, obviously. I don't know what this question means. Is Plankton Rising just a kids game, or is there enough there for adults to enjoy? I think it's going to be geared towards kids, but adults could enjoy it. Full review of that game is actually coming out this week. What's your favorite material to have hats made of? Well, I guess it's whatever this one's made up of. This is 100% wool. Well, there you go. Wool hat. Best way to make potatoes for Thanksgiving? Mashed potatoes, I guess, is the way I've traditionally done. I'm thinking about doing something differently. So last week, I decided one night to just cook. I don't normally cook. My wife normally makes dinners, but I was in the mood to cook. So I made some steak and a potato sausage side dish, corn as a side dish. Was there another vegetable? No, it was just potatoes and corn. Oh, and then I made a Caesar salad. And it seemed like everyone liked it. So that's good. So I'm thinking about doing it again. For some reason, this cooking thing is catching my... I don't know. I just had fun doing it. Turkey or ham? Turkey for sure. But ham is also quite good. What is your opinion, experience with Spiel Digital? I didn't do much with Spiel Digital. I went and looked at a couple games, and I was like, maybe I'll order a couple games that I don't have yet. So I went to a few of them, saw them, looked at the shipping prices, and I was like, I don't want them that badly. So that's kind of where I didn't do much with it other than that, because we were also streaming the whole time. Not the whole time, but a good chunk of the time. So that kept me busy enough as it was. So I would let other people do that. As Monica getting more involved in Dice Tower? Well, he is involved with the Dice Tower. He's been doing Board Game Breakfast with us, and he's doing our top 10 with us this week. Have I tried the BGG new homepage beta? No, I haven't actually. I mean, I think I'll just wait till it goes live. The beta, I have to sign into it and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't have time to do that right now. I'll just get to it when it happens. I received my copy of Veda Delux Edition through Kickstarter a few weeks ago. I was hoping for a review. My second printing on Crowd Surfing. I don't have a review copy. Huh. Yeah, I guess so. I didn't know that the second edition had already been sent out to people. In this morning's board game breakfast, what does being too Vasel mean? I recorded that almost a week ago. So can you give me the context of what I said? I don't remember what I said exactly. Yes. So we're currently in the process of looking for another editor / person to help here at the Dice Tower. No one is leaving. And it was pretty funny. As soon as I put that, people were like, who's leaving? Like, no, nobody. No one. This is an additional thing. Everyone who's here currently is sticking around. Seeing as you run Dice Tower as a successful business, do you have any entrepreneur idols, any recommended YouTube channels? I don't know and no. I mean, I look at YouTube channels, but I don't follow any YouTube channels super closely as to all they do. Over the weekend, I was just telling the guys, so I was like, I'll listen to some YouTube podcasts. So I just downloaded random YouTube podcasts. I did a search for YouTube and downloaded a bunch of podcasts. And the first one I downloaded, I listened to. And after I got through the many advertisements and the, talking about my own channel that the main host did, the people he talked to didn't really talk. They just kind of talked about stuff, but they weren't really giving any advice that I knew already, like, hey, you should work hard. I got it. You shouldn't worry about what people say about your channel. Cool. But if anything, I figured out, for all these people, I listened to several, and I kept jumping around listening to different ones. Like, all the men I heard ran some sort of tech podcast, and all the women ran some health and beauty thing. That's very stereotypical. I don't mean it to be, but that's just what I heard, right? That's what people were talking about. And there was a lot of, people talking about making money in different ways and sponsorships and stuff. But the thing about board gaming is it's very different. I mean, I assume any small industry is going to be different than others. But I read about business people and the decisions they make, but the thing is, everything is different. Stuff's different. I don't have necessarily any idols or people that I follow. I think that hard work is very important, and so I'm impressed with people who have hard work and people who are innovative. I don't know that I'm innovative, but I'm impressed with those who are. I know you used to have a segment where we discussed different types of different gamers. Did you ever think about making a funny book with these ideas? No, not really. I'm not really much of an author. I don't write very well. I write okay. I believe I could edit to where things sounded better. I can rewrite a sentence and make it sound better. I've written statements and things for the Dice Tower where we spent hours on a few paragraphs. I'm just not a good writer. So I don't know that I plan to write a book in my future at all. You go for a walk each morning. I do. Well, not each morning, but almost every morning. Every weekday morning for sure. I wake up at 6, and me and my wife are out the door almost as fast as we can. Because just going for a walk is a way to wake up. We spend some time with each other. Even if that, a good chunk of it sometimes just no one says anything at all. Nowadays, a dog joins us, so we walk the dog too. And just a good way to get things going. I'm trying to walk 10,000 steps a day now. I did not do so on Halloween, but that was the first time I missed in a month. So I walk here at Dice Tower too. I'll do some reviews, and then I'll go walk for a while, and then come back. H index is the number X in this phrase. I've played X games at least X times. I don't know what that means. So I played 10 games 10 times and 11 games 11 times. I guess you're saying, so if you played like chess your whole life, I played one game thousands of times. But if you're someone like me, I played thousands of games a few times. Is that what you mean? I don't know what that number would mean, though, other than someone plays a lot of games or someone plays the same game all the time. What's my opinion about Cthulhu Death May Die? I didn't really like it that much. I thought it was okay at best. And I know I'm alone here in the studio for that one. I think Roy likes it. I know Mike and Z really like it. I just was like, we just walked around, rolled dice, and killed stuff. It was okay, but it didn't do anything for me. But I'm alone on that one. Have you ever done a tour of your wardrobe? Now, see, here's the thing. You might think that my wardrobe's that much. It's not really. I have a drawer of suspenders, of which I wear the black ones almost all the time. I wear the other colors once in a while. I have racks and racks of ties. That's what makes it seem like I wear things all the time. And then a stack of hats. And this is where I find it, between you change your hat and your tie, And it looks like you have thousands of outfits, but I don't. I don't even have thousands of ties. I do have... I don't know how many ties I have. Maybe 300? That's a lot. But there's a lot that I don't wear that often. I'll probably do a culling of the ties soon. Any news on Dice Tower conventions in 2021? No. As soon as we have news on those, we'll announce it. Again, everything is held up by the simple... I mean, people ask all the time, but everyone who's running a convention, their hands are literally tied by where those conventions are scheduled. You cannot say it's not going to happen if the hotel is going to allow you to do it, and the hotel's going to drag their feet until the government tells them they can't do it. Everyone drags their feet, and if you announce early that it's not happening, you could get in trouble with the place where you have it, and so you just have to wait and wait and wait and wait till that happens. So as of right now, all conventions for Dice Tower are on next year, but I would not get your hopes up on the early ones, but I can't say much more than that until we have exact details. You did an early playthrough of Dwellings of Eldervale. Do you usually review games that you've done an early playthrough of? Sure. I could, even if I don't like the game, I'll say so. We've done playthroughs of games that have come through, and I'll do a review of them and say I didn't really care for that. You'll see that as time goes by. In fact, we just played through a thing a few weeks ago that I didn't care for, that I'm going to do a review of in a couple of weeks and say that very thing. I've already told the publisher that, and that's just how it works, you know. Although, for the most part, most of the playthroughs we've done live, I actually do like. In fact, Dwellings of Eldervale, I liked a lot. I haven't seen the final product yet, though, so maybe something's changed, of course. If you were like Doctor Strange in Adventures and had to play Food Chain Magnate 14 million times to find the one outlier, do you think there would be one instance where it would end up in your top 100? That's made for a really entertaining experience there in the movie. But if anyone looked at anything 14 million times, they would be insane. Just straight up. You know, these time travel movies, I love them. I love Groundhog Day. I love The Edge of Tomorrow. I love that sort of thing. But the fact is that if I was doing those, after a while, I would say, you know what? I'm done trying to save the world. Since I'm dying, everything's going to restart. I'm just going to go to the arcade this day. I'm going to do this the next day. I would find it. I played video games before where you play through and then you die, and then you play through and you get past that point eventually and then you die. Yeah, no, I'm done with those. Why does it take so long for games that are sold out to come back to stock in shops? Because it just is that long. So let's say you're selling a game. So you have 5,000 copies of that game. And it's selling well and selling well. And you're like, hey, it looks like it's going to sell out. Now, how many more do we reprint? And then you sit and you debate on that. You don't want to make another 5,000 because it's going to probably fade out at some point. But if it sells, so you don't make too many at the begin with, because you're not sure how well games can sell. Then maybe it sells really fast. You're like, oh, we need to make more. Well, you press that button. They don't just magically show back up. It could be a 6-month process so those games get republished and back to the stores. And so it takes a while. That's just how it is. So I wouldn't worry about it. I would just pick one of the many, many games that is out. On Spiel Digital, we as prototype developers leave us out. Only publishers can get onto our server. I don't understand what that means. Do you mean that Spiel Digital didn't allow prototype people to come in? If you could be a little bit more explaining that. Any tips for handling toxic player during game night? Not inviting them is not an option. Haha. I don't get that. Not inviting them seems to be an option. I've had toxic players show up before, and I have talked to them and said, you can't come back until you change this. If you're not the one running the night, then I might talk to the person running the night and say, look, I can't handle this person. I'm not going to be able to come back while they're there. Or, you know, there's just got to be a way to deal with it. Handling a toxic player, but I don't even know what that means. Toxic player, does that mean someone who's just mean and not fun to play with? There's a lot of different things. Is Roy as positive and funny all the time off camera as he is in videos? He seems to be really fun and upbeat, the guy to be around. So far, I can be very clear that everyone on the Dice Tower videos is pretty much, at least here in the main studios, is pretty much the same way off camera. You see us joking and making fun of each other and laughing on camera. We do it off camera all the time. There's all kinds of shenanigans that happen here at the studios quite a bit. So yes, to the question about Roy. Can you give an estimate of prototype games you receive in a year? Not many, because I almost always say no. The only prototype games that I even will touch are the ones that are paid playthroughs on our channel. That's it. I won't touch any other ones. If I open that door, I'll get thousands of them. And I mean, sometimes people send them to me unsolicited, but they just go in the corner and eventually we get rid of them. I just won't play them. What advice would you have for a new board game channel? That would be a tough one, right? What are you going to do? So with anything, you know, when you want to be successful, it's like be first or be best. So that's really your goals. You got to do something that's different that no one else has been doing, or to do something in a style that no one else has done it, or to do something that people have done but do it better. It's hard to stand out at it right now because lots of people are stuck at home. So all these people are stuck at home. Everyone's starting channels up and everything. Now, this will be interesting to see what happens when people go back out, how many of these new channels and things that started will continue. But, yeah, to be different. Do you prefer tiebreaker rules or winners share the victory? Tiebreaker rules, always. You know, even if it doesn't matter that much, right? So let's say we play a game and tiebreaker is like, who has the most money? We both have the same amount of money. Then it's like, whoever had more of the wood resource. I have one more wood resource or you do. And I'm like, yeah, I won. But even though someone won, and I'm okay with that, it's not like the person in second place is like, oh, my day's been ruined. No, you made it to a tie. You only lost on a tiebreaker. That feels pretty good for me, at least. Did I see the new Mandalorian episode? I did. It was fantastic. My whole family really liked it. That is now like a family thing that we do. We'll try to do it Friday evening, you know, just all sit and watch the new Mandalorian episode. The business side of Dice Tower fascinates me. You create tweaking. I admire continued successes. Well, I'm very lucky. Okay, there's a lot of that there, and there's a lot of work that's involved with Dice Tower. The business side is interesting, but it's a very, you know, unique thing. And you always sit there and go, well, how long will something like this last? You know, what's going to be, how long can you keep these things up? Who knows? But it is something that we really do work hard at. Every week, we're like, all right, what's next? What do we do now? Like right now, we're working on our 12 games at Christmas. How's that going to be done this year? How are we going to do that? What does that entail? Thanksgiving week, we're going to be out of town, or not out of town, but out of office here. So how do we prepare for that? And then the end of the year, the Winter Spectacular, what are we going to be doing for that? And then our Kickstarter starts up the couple weeks after that. There's always things going on. We're never bored here. Do I think Rian Johnson should direct the new Mandalorian episodes? Why? I mean, aren't they fine as is? I'm confused and ask that question. I feel you rarely talk about politics. Is this on purpose so as to not alienate any potential audience, or are you just not a very political person? Yes. I mean, I'm not dumb necessarily. Well, maybe you might consider me dumb when it comes to politics. I certainly keep an eye on it. You want to know. You want to be informed about what's going on in life. I just don't find them interesting, and I just don't talk about them on the channel because they're very divisive. Divisive issues I don't necessarily talk about here on the Dice Tower. We're mostly here about games. This Q&A in particular, I'll answer other questions, but I answer things that aren't that big of a deal. Hi, Tom. I know you have some favorite board games, but which one do you prefer playing in a domestic setting? I'm really confused by this question. It would not change. my favorite games in a domestic setting, that, like, I don't suddenly have a different favorite game. I don't understand that question, I guess. Do you think board games are meant to be disposable commodities? Not unless it's a legacy game. Are you a morning person or a night person? How does that affect? All right, controversial. My controversial opinion on this is that while I think human beings tend to be more geared to being more awake in the morning or awake at night, I also believe very strongly that much of it is just a learned philosophy. Like someone says, I just can't get up in the morning. I feel pretty confident if you were told you to be up in the morning, you are. And I know this because people join the Army, and whether you're a morning person or not, you're at PT at 6 o'clock. You know, it just happened. You know, you're there. And so I think that if you have a discipline of getting up, I don't feel like getting up. I wake up. I chose 6 a.m. for my wake up time. I don't always feel like getting up at 6 a.m. But I do because I'm just going to. I'm not always super chipper in the morning. But I try to be pleasant to people I come across because you should be. I've stayed up super late at night. I've been a night owl at points in my life. But I also have learned that, hey, I can force myself to go to bed. You're like, I just can't get to sleep. No, I can make it happen. You know, especially if you put yourself in a schedule. If you get up at 6 in the morning. Now, I know there's going to be variables every situation. There's going to be people who literally have problems with this and that and this and that. So I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm not speaking as a doctor. I'm just saying for myself. I don't know that I'm a night or morning person. I know that in the morning I'm chipper and I'm ready to go, but I've chosen to do so. I also know that if I need to stay up late and stuff, I'll do that, but I've chosen to do so. My current schedule says wake up at 6, try to be asleep by 11:30. That's what I try to do at night. So nowadays, sometimes I take a short nap during the day too. Maybe I'm getting older. But I don't know. I just run into a lot of people who use the I'm not a morning person. It's usually them. It's not usually the night owl. It's usually the I'm not a morning people crowd, right? It's usually they use that as an excuse to be kind of a jerk in the morning. And I don't think that's right. Like, wow. I'm just not a morning person. Well, then you know what? You should still be polite and cordial towards your fellow man. And also, maybe you should be surfing Facebook at 2 in the morning. Controversial, I know. I'm sure you're different and unique, so it doesn't apply to you what I just said. The Cubitos fell looks like SpongeBob, yet cheese. Yeah, it does really feel like they were kind of going for SpongeBob there. I'm not sure what it is. BGG gives you an H index rating based off the games you logged there. Oh, I see. I never log games, so there you go. That fish tie is nice. I do like that fish tie. I have matching fish socks that go with it, but you never see those. How far are you on Fables now? I am at the graphic novel called The Great Fables Crossover. And I stopped and I'm now reading the Jack, but I don't like the Jack character. So the one that's based on him, I really dislike reading it because I dislike the main character so much. He's such a jerk. I don't understand why people like watching TV shows that are centered around a jerk. Like House was an interesting medical TV show, but he's a jerk the whole time. And I don't get why people like that. I would like if I wouldn't want to be around someone in real life, why would I want to watch a TV show or read a comic about them? What's the best documentary you've seen lately? I just watched a documentary on Netflix versus Blockbuster. That was interesting. And I also watched one about Apple versus PC. No, it was actually Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, just talking about the differences between them. But that's pretty much it. How do you say the name of the game in the background? I think it's Cubitos. I'm not quite sure. Talk more about your sock collection. I was amazed to hear that they're more important than hats and ties. They are. So most of my socks look like this, you know, oops. So you can see it's just striped, right? But I don't ever wear plain ones. But I'm constantly buying new socks because I'm getting holes in my socks. I just love socks. I don't wear shoes in the house. I wear shoes here at the studio, but not in my house. Take my shoes off as soon as we get home, and I wear socks all over the house. I take my socks off when I get in bed or when I take a shower. You know, that's it. I like wearing socks. I don't like going around barefoot. My kids are definitely not on that same page. They all love going barefoot. My wife, the same thing. I just like them. I think they're comfortable. And I like wearing crazy looking socks. Just no one ever sees them. So I just wear them for myself mostly. Are there times when you think the Dice Tower produces too much content? When I miss a couple weeks, it can be hard to catch up. Sure, I think the Dice Tower produces a ton of content, but we're not here necessarily for you to watch everything. The Dice Tower puts out content the same way a TV channel puts out content. I want you to pick and choose what you want. And also, I want it to be, hey, do I want to, find a review about Computos or To Want to See You? You can find those reviews, not yet. I guess I haven't reviewed those games yet, but once they're reviewed, we have those as a backlog for you to check. You're bored, you want to watch a couple top 10 lists, they're there. I want it to be a library of content and also just of a bunch of shows. Hey, I want to watch the No Strings Attached playthrough tonight with Graham. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing. Or I like the show that Eric and Crystal put on. And I want to have a lot of different things out there. Have you acquired any new cooking or other skills in the past few months? No, but I'm getting better at making steak. Steak's a tricky thing to make. When I grew up, my dad liked a steak well done. So steak was just cooked till it was almost burnt. That's the way my mom made it. That's the way I thought steak was. So I'm learning that. I've been watching some videos on how to make that better and stuff. But that's pretty much it. Although I was really happy with how my potatoes turned out last time I made them. Let's see here. So Mistborn, you'll like part 3. It's a good book series. So this guy in BGG is currently at H-index of 35. He's played 35 different games at least 35 times each. The thing is, it has to be the same number for each. I just don't see how that number is useful. What does that mean? Like, the higher the number, like, do we applaud you more? Like, if it's 80, like I play 80 games 80 times each. Is that person better than the person who has played 20 games 100 times each? Or the person who's played 100 games 20 times each? I'm just not sure why playing the games, a number of games, the same number of times matters. I mean, everyone's H-index is 1 then, according to that, right? Because everyone's played at least one game one time. So I played at least 2 games twice. I played at least 3 games 3 times. I mean, we keep going up to, at what point do you stop? Who knows? That's interesting. It just doesn't seem. How funny was the Polyomino segment of yours to film for you? I was laughing my head off. I actually did that in one take, and I planned it out ahead of time. And I don't know. For me, my favorite type of humor is the kind of humor that you don't pause for a laugh, and you don't even acknowledge that you said something funny, which me and my wife disagree on this. She thinks that that's problematic, and she's right in that sometimes people then don't know that I'm joking. They think that I've missed it, and I find that sort of thing to be immensely hilarious when someone just says something matter-of-factly and they keep going, and then later on you're like, that was a joke. I don't know. I find that heavily amusing. So That's just the kind of humor I like. Let's see. Is the playthrough of Dune Imperium your first experience with it, or have you played it already? The one that we played live, that was the first time we'd have ever played it. That was the first time, yes. Played it, but did not. That when we did the live one, that was the first time. What games from 2020 might you consider for your top 100? Maybe none. That's not true. There is at least, just off the top of my head, well, actually, let's not go off the top of my head. Let's, I have a document, which I'm not going to show you all because it's top secret, but I'm preparing ahead of time for the end of the year stuff. I always do. And where is my 2020 ratings? This is where I keep track of all my ratings. And so let's see here. So there's at least 2 games that are going to hit my top 100. Yeah, that one will too. 3. I don't know. For sure, that one. 4. That one's also going to hit my top 100. So 5. 5 for sure. That one might. Maybe 6. Oh, that one could make my top 100 too. 7. Yeah, but who knows, right? Because my top 100 continually also gets more and more diverse as time goes by. And so the higher ratings, just because the game hits a 9 maybe, might not even make the top 100 at this point. Alrighty, I've lost where I'm at. What's my favorite way to play Project Elite? Oh, just a basic map. I throw in almost all the bosses because why not? What does it matter what boss comes out? You deal with them as they come out. I do like playing with the suits of armor, but I don't have to. But I don't change up too much of it. It's different every game. So if you play with all these different bosses, it's fun as it is. If rules don't specify, how do you like to determine first player? I grab a piece from each player, and I either drop them down the dice tower or throw them, and I say whichever one goes closest to the edge of the table without coming off, that's who goes first. Or sometimes I'll take them and put them in. Let's say we're playing 4 players. I'll take 2 pieces each. Be like, pick a hand. Oh, you said left? Okay, these are out. Take these 2 pieces, mix them up, pick a hand. Left? Okay, this is first player. That's normally what I do. First player rules are usually absurd. I agree, but I still try to follow them. This drives Z crazy. This is one where he and I really disagree. He hates first player rules like that. I think they're amusing. I don't care. Like the last person who saw a horror movie, I'm like, all right, cool. Who's the last person to see a horror movie? It's also like a way for people to talk a little bit sometimes. I'll be like, oh, you saw that? Oh, that's interesting. Do you think conventions in 2021 will be extremely crowded after everything got canceled this year? I think it's going to be an interesting thing. My suspicion is the first con that happens will have a lot of people who are still afraid to go for whatever reason, legitimate, not legitimate, doesn't matter. There'll be a lot of people who are afraid to go. But a lot of people who would normally not have gone and are just dying to go to anything will go. So I would say it would be the same. Any solution about 2 friends who fought and ruined their friendship over a game? Wow. I would talk to each of them separately and be like, how is a game more important in your friendship? I don't understand that. And there must be something deeper in it than that for a game to be more important than their friendship. Do you think that there have been many Kickstarter-only games that have been amazing and now feel like a major missed opportunity for people that didn't back it or weren't in the hobby at that time? Sure, but usually though, if the game's that exciting, it's going to be reprinted at some point, re-kickstarted, or there's other games out there. I just don't worry too much about that. There's a ton of games that you can go right now and buy. Which expansions do you enjoy the most for Pitch Car? Probably the Jump. Actually, the expansion I use the most is the Long Straightaways. They're great. But, I mean, they're just long straightaways. The Jumps are good. I think that the Loops is the coolest one in theory. In practice, it's not as exciting. The Jump is my favorite. I almost always use the Jump. Are any of them overrated or underrated? I don't know that anything is overrated. I mean, how many people are playing Pitch Car? The one that goes up on the second level looks really cool, but it's not as neat, and I hardly ever use that one. Have you ever subjected your children to a game you thought is probably going to be bad for the sake of review? Sure. But my kids don't go into it like that. They also play a game. Like this weekend, I played, me and my kids had an amazing experience with an escape game that I'll be reviewing later this week. You know, which is an amazing, terrific experience. We played through several times. Then I brought out a set of games that I thought, these seem like they're going to be bad games, and they were horrific. Like, I'm going to be rating them a 1, 2, and a 3, respectively. That's how bad they were. My kids also thought they were bad, but they don't look at me as in they were forcing it off. They're like, nah. And there's a lot of games I'm like, this is terrible, and my kids go, nah, it's not that bad. It doesn't bother them as much. You mentioned you need a haircut. We go to a barber, salon, or have your wife cut it. My wife's cut it the last 2 times. I don't personally prefer that. I really like going to a barber. I really enjoy a barber. I've always liked the atmosphere of a barber. I like hearing everybody talk about whatever. That's probably not going to happen now. I haven't been to a barber since the quarantine started. I know I could go to one now. I just haven't got around to doing it. Part of it is timing. It takes time to go to a barber. And I can't multitask at the barber. I can't read a book or anything. And I always feel like I'm just sitting there waiting for my hair to get cut. Tom, when you can finally get back to an in-person convention, what's the first game? You know what? It's not going to be even that. I'm just going to go say hi to people. Be like, hey, man, it's been a long time seeing you. Hey, how's it going? I don't care about the games at all. Happy birthday, D. Let me see here. Do any games intimidate me on first glance? Tons of them. The 18xx games intimidate me. The war games intimidate me. Veda Delux game intimidates me. Mostly just because they're huge rule books. You look at these rule books and you're like, oh. All right, I can do this, I can do this. I'm at home playing with the family, domestic. I don't know, my family, I would play my favorite games with. Maybe not like Gloomhaven, right, and stuff, but then I would just, if that's the case, you just go through my top 100 and start picking out the family games. I don't know. So instead of that, you just meant one of my top family games. Happily, I've done a list of those. Sheriff for Nottingham has production been discontinued. Come On came out with a second edition this year, so that's what I would look for. Hey, what games do you wish would stop making expansions? Maybe Dice Masters at this point? I love Dice Masters, but good grief, there's a lot of it out there. Not Smash Up. Smash Up, I'm not done with Smash Up yet. It took me years to realize House was literally just Sherlock Holmes. You know what? And that's why I'm not a big fan of Sherlock Holmes. I guess I like Dr. Watson, right? And in House, you like, his version of Dr. Watson. And that's why I could stomach House, because there's a lot of likable characters who aren't House. I just don't. I've never been a big fan of Sherlock Holmes for that same reason. He's a jerk. And yeah, he's smart, but there's not a lot of growth of the character. He's still a jerk years later. I don't get it. And man, how do you say the name of the game on the other side of you? Oh, this one is Lost Ruins of Arnak. I think it's Arnak. I'm not quite sure. If you like socks so much, how do you feel about sandals? I've never actually worn a pair of sandals in my life. Well, maybe I wore a pair in a Bible production at church or something. Maybe. But I don't like sandals. I don't like flip-flops. I want my toes to be protected. I don't know. I just have this phobia of that. So not a phobia, but I'm just like, nope. I want my toes out of sight. So I've never worn a pair of sandals. I've worn flip-flops a few times. I hate them. I don't know how people like having something in between their toes. So when I go to a water park, obviously I don't wear socks at a water park or at the pool. So I'll wear, I wear Crocs, those nasty, ugly-looking Croc shoes. But my toes are hidden. Not hidden, but I just feel safer wearing those. In the table video, you didn't hit it with the gavel, or they approved. Oh, yeah, sure. That was more of me doing the video for them, showing off the table. So I guess I didn't do a thing there. I think Rathscour tables are excellent. I'm sitting at one right now, and it's fantastic. Now people are talking about steak and socks. The werewolf videos are great to watch. Any thought of other games that could have the same treatment? Maybe. I don't know. I'm enjoying doing the werewolf ones. It does take a chunk of time each week. So I may pull back to doing one a week for a while. Maybe I'll do 2 a week. I don't know. I like doing them a lot. Can you share your potato recipe? Well, it wasn't really a recipe. What I did was, first I cooked up the sausage. I used... Why is the sausage escaping me? Anyway, I cooked up the sausage first. Chopped all that up. Then I fried. I bought the little potatoes, the little ones. I bought 2 types. I bought the golden and the red ones and mixed them together. Cut them in half, the little tiny ones, and cooked them for, I don't know, half an hour. I fried them in some olive oil. Just a little bit of olive oil with a smattering of salt and a few other spices. And then I took the potatoes and stuck them in the microwave just to keep them warm. Let them sit there, and then I cooked in some mushrooms. I used shiitake mushrooms. And then I threw the potatoes back in along with the sausage, mixed it all up. Did I put in some onions? Yeah, I put in a few onions. Not too many, though. And added some garlic. And that's what we did. It wasn't very a recipe. How's the miniature painting going at the Dice Tower? Right now, it's going slowly because I have my kids doing other things and they paint in their spare time. Holly's currently painting Starship Samurai, so that's kind of cool. It's neat to see those get painted. What did she just paint? She finished something. I don't remember what it is. We just paint various things as they come through the office. Have you read Wheel of Time? Yes, I've read Wheel of Time. That's what introduced me to Brandon Sanderson too. Wheel of Time, man, I started reading that in college. I think I read the first part of the first book when I was in high school. Then in college I got there and people were like, well, you know, I remember distinctly when book 9 came out. I want to say I was still in college when book 9 came out. Was it 9? Anyway, I was excited. I read these books like all get out. And the first one was great, and the second one was good, and the third one was good, and the fourth one had me almost stand on my feet with how exciting the ending was. The fifth was okay, and it started to stretch out. The sixth was okay, but also had an amazing ending. And then the bottom fell out, and I was like, when is this series going to end? But when Brandon Sanderson came on, I was like, yay, it's going to end. And then he still took 3 books to finish it. I was like, I liked how he ended it. And I think I must have got on one of his reading lists, and that's what pointed me to Mistborn, I think. I think Wheel of Time is a fine series. I've already talked about the Wheel of Time a lot, so I don't want to get into it too much. It just was very, very long. A lot of people are talking about the H-index now. Do I think solo modes and hobby boards is a must in today's market? No, I don't think it's a must. I think that if you can put it in a game and it makes sense, do so. But I don't think every game needs to have solo gaming. Like, for example, I don't think Cosmic Encounter needs a solo game thing. It just doesn't. It doesn't make any sense at all. I don't think that, like, chess needs a solo variant. There's just a lot of games that don't need solo variants. And sometimes I think they're shoehorned into games. Now, a lot of games they do work well with, and there certainly is a lot more solo stuff than there used to be, and that's fine, but I don't think it's necessary. Just like I don't think a game needs to play 5 players. No plans to keep a Dice Tower event in Europe? We're talking about the Dice Tower events that are in America. We're seeing if even those are going to happen, let alone expanding right now. Is your work constantly busy, or does it come in waves during the year? I never have a time where I'm not busy. I mean, granted, it's work I'm making for myself a lot of times, but yeah, that is what it is. What game was your best first play experience? I don't even know. I have so many games that I have had great first game experiences with. I wouldn't be able to tell you which one was my best. Would you consider a monthly or weekly program of all the games that got the Seal of Excellence from Dice Tower? Yeah, it's called Week in Review. Check it out. Every week we tell you all the games that got our Seal of Excellence. I shan't answer that, Mr. Joe. Alrighty. Do you miss teaching? Actually, I was thinking about that today as I was out for one of my walks, and I walked by a school, and I thought, teaching. I do miss teaching, but I only miss the teaching part of it. I don't miss all the paperwork. I don't miss the administration. I don't miss the meetings. I don't miss that, but I like the actual teaching part. Someone asked us, they miss Sam. Is Sam Healey gone? fairly certain he's still around. He's in Washington State now. He's working for Mythic Games. But I don't think he's gone. He's still here on Earth. The tunnel is off on pitch car. I always crash. Now the tunnel's great. Don't listen to that. Tunnel's fantastic. Did you enjoy the Night of the Living Dead Zombicide game? Yes. Full review will be coming for that next week, maybe? Or in 2 weeks. In your reviews, do you even bother testing those last page variants of the game? Very rarely. Unless someone says you really should. I usually read through them to see what they say to do, but I don't always play with them. And what he's talking about here is in the rule book at the very end, it'll be like variants you can try. But they're not in the game for a reason, usually. Tom, how do you organize the games in the Dice Tower library? Size, designer, complexity, publisher, etc. Size mostly, but also type. So I'm putting all I call them the T games. I'm putting all those together. Escape room games, I try to put them together. Party games together. Abstract strategy games go together. That's kind of what I'm doing with the Dice Tower library. When you pick games for a top 10 list, you consider whether you can still buy the game. I do not consider that. I do consider that for our 12 games of Christmas list that are coming up. That we consider for. So if we're saying, hey, these are games you should buy for people for Christmas, we want to pick games that you can actually buy. You probably won't see this, but happy Monday. Ha ha ha, I saw it in your face. When is the review of Kingdom Rush? I think it's this week. It is this week, Kingdom Rush. I wish you would do this an hour later. I'm sorry. Do you have a day during the week or month where you don't play or talk about board games? In a way you are not getting bored by board games? Well, I mean, I don't talk about board games every day. Nowadays, I talk about them almost every day, but I mean, I don't have to talk about board games all the time, and other things come up. Is there any good specific websites that are good for finding online board game meetup groups? I don't know. Maybe Meetup? Maybe Facebook? Am I going to have all the new Ashes Rise for Phoenixborn stuff when it comes out for the Dice Tower Library? Probably not. Games like that, I usually don't get everything for the Dice Tower Library because very few people are going to check it out and play it. Do you and the guys ever put side bets on the games you play to spice things up? Nope, because I don't believe that would spice things up. I think that would make things very uncomfortable and unfriendly. I have not seen Enola Holmes on Netflix because I don't know why. I keep meaning to watch it with my family, and we just haven't yet. Look, if I want a day off, I'll take a day off. So don't worry about me. I'm okay. I'm not overworked yet. Are you caught up on reading Stormlight Archive? Yes. Am I excited for the next one mid-month? Yes. Except for, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to read it. Am I going to just stop everything and just plow through it, or am I going to read a little bit each day? Did you do anything for Halloween? Not particularly. What was my costume? I just wore an orc outfit, just the head, actually. It was it was Marlin Orc. If you look at my Instagram, Dice Tower Instagram, you can see a picture of it. I remember you saying you like spaghetti pie one time. Can you explain what it is? I certainly can, especially since I ate it 3 days ago. Spaghetti pie is a poor man's lasagna. So my wife makes it. She got the recipe from my mom, but you could probably find it online. I'm sure you could. You make the crust out of spaghetti noodles and a bit of egg. And so it makes like a little crust around the pie. And then you fill it with cooked spaghetti and meat, and then cheese. You put cheese on top, let the cheese melt on top of the whole thing. It's really, really delicious. And you cut in slices and eat it like pie. What are your inspirations for the custom roles in the werewolf games? I just find them all over the place. I find some on the internet. Sometimes I'm walking down the street and I'll think of one. Whatever. I don't know. Some of them I definitely stole from other places. I'm not pretending I made up a lot of them. But some of them I just did make up. For first-time game designers, do you recommend Kickstarter or publishers? So I'm assuming you mean kickstarting it yourself because you might go to a publisher and they kickstart it. So we'll assume that's what you mean. Publishers. Every time. Every single time. I will never recommend to anyone to kickstart it yourself. I did a video on this, but basically my thing is, what's your dream? Is your dream to be a publisher? Then yeah, kickstart it yourself. But if it's not to be a publisher, then let someone else do it. I find that most designers publish their games for three reasons. One is absolute control. They don't want anyone else touching or messing with their game at all. And I find that problematic because you usually want another pair of eyes and a developer working on it. Two, money. That's fine. You will get more money if you publish it yourself. But you do that and you also are doing a ton more work, logistics and all that stuff. And three, designers publish it themselves because nobody else will publish it. That means your game sucks. Welcome to the Dice Tower. Plays of Happiness. No, but seriously, if no one else publishes your game, there's a reason for that. Publishers out there are publishing everything, as evidenced by quite a few bad ones, which I'm reviewing all the time. So if they don't take yours, that means it probably needs some work on it. Alrighty. Well, I didn't answer lots of questions. I apologize, but I will answer more next time. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. I appreciate everyone coming around. We'll have more videos going up. We got live videos going up this week. Of course, tomorrow we'll be playing Penny Dreadfun live. We got other videos going up live this week. We have reviews. I've already recorded some. As I said, I got the Temples of Arnak here. This review is going up tomorrow. On Tuesday, I'll be taking a look at Star Wars The Unlock series. And more games coming. I can see them in a pile over there. I better start recording them now. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Q&A on the Dice Tower. Oh. But before we go, let's do some shout-out to some people. I'm going to fall over if I go a little bit farther. I got it. Hey, we want to say thank you to Hubert Cadbury, to Joseph Nahas, and to Alex and Marianne from Montreal. Thank you. Said I couldn't pronounce their name, so that's probably true. But I can say Alex and Marianne. Thank you, everybody. If you backed our Kickstarter, we always appreciate it. Y'all are wonderful. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. And guess what? Nothing else.